It is info in completed that. To me only. Mail me the presentation. You haven't mailed me yet. Mail me the final presentation. One you have made. Just because of the नहीं बोल सकते हाँ नहीं बोल ऐसे नहीं बोला ऐसे डाउट वाला
और ऐसे घूर के देखना उसको सच में आज वैसे
इसको इसको क्वेश्चन पूछेंगे क्वेरी अंकित तो हमारे क्वेरी सॉल्व करना
हाँ दोनों मैम जो भी प्रेजेंटेशन लगेगा दोनों अंकित भी डाला इसमें अभी की डाल
अरे हाँ वो देखी गया बनने ना
अरे टाइम लेगा तब तक
ये रख रही
ये बोला
have a look
तो तुझे जो प्रिंटर ढूंढ सकता है जो प्रेजेंटेशन वाला करेंगे
ये अंकित का निकितेश
आणि तो वाईट
वो निकितेश की फैमिली हाँ
ये अंकित है काम से परेशान हुआ
मैंने
कोई नहीं
अच्छा
भाई मेरे को तो नहीं समझा मैं
हाँ ये अभी सारा अपना ऑनलाइन दिख रहा है
पता है
YouTube पर दिखेगा
हाय बॉस हाय फ्रेंड्स गुड मॉर्निंग
टुडे हो गया
good afternoon today I'm not going to present because today's part is introduced by
टुडे
me.
पर छोटा सा
प्रेजेंट बोल रहा है
I'm not going to present because today is negative presenting.
तो प्रेजेंट कर ही रहा है ना आगे कैसे बात बस क्या हो
Thank you for giving us valuable information.
This is the C2. C2.
How many expenses for this? Next week. But that's it.
Heads of hearts English.
Yeah.
This is right.
Father or supper.
Wait,
Yes. That's what
I'm just on its note of the
I'm not prepared. Please shake your hand.
We
Yes, shake
will
your head.
ask you
And yes,
queries.
okay.
Ankit, we will ask you queries. Okay?
Please, please,
Only Ankit.
माझ्यावर रहम कर.
You will have to answer.
Please don't.
underestimate
No, they are not underestimating it.
the value, but I never do it.
Good morning, ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, friends. I'm Nikita Shamboligar, and he is my colleague, Ankit Kale. We are here to present our topic, that is loan mail and its outreach activity. Next slide, please. These are the points we are more focused in, and we are discussed one by one. Next slide, please. Let's start with the introduction. The loan mela was first inaugurated by the Janardhan Pujari, which is the Minister of Finance from Congress Party in the era of Rajiv Gandhi. It was also start of entire attitude of contempt for the concept of repayment of the bank loans. The objective behind this loan mela was to give assistance to the poor people section of the people of the society. The first loan mela was organized in 31st October 1985 at Bangalore, where 30,000 beneficiaries had come.
Organized on
Organized on. Such mela were held at specific location and at different dates.
अगर अभी अगर आपस में तीनों बात करते हैं
in this Mela, lawyers and valuer are also participants to check the documents and valuation of the documents. On the spot loan sanction will be provided at the Mela.
How can a faculty talk in the class?
Praveen and
इसमें से सांबर as if somebody's talking.
में से क्वेश्चन को लिखे रखने
On this Mela, the spot loan sanction is provided to the customer, and after and the remaining process will be held at that branch location. It takes only 2 to 3 days after the loan Mela. Next slide, please. The customer should submit the identity proof, Aadhaar card, PAN card, proof of income, and the land document at the loan Mela. At the loan Mela, customer avail the variety of loans, having a more focus on providing a loans on small enterprises, business loans, traders and agriculture customers, home loans, personal loans, and many more. To cater this business requirement, working capital and property purchase. As a part of Go Digital, that is the tagline is the bank आपकी मुट्ठी में. The bank offers spot sanction of loan, thus demonstrating the use of the digital platform to offer access and convenience to customer. The loan Mela has been the ideal way to reach our target group, the right person, right people to the right loans with our product and service and enhance upon the concept of touch and feels. This event create an opportunity to meet our audience or one-on-one or in a group to interact. The bank who organized Loan Mela touched the sense of our audience through all media. So the advertisement of the Loan Mela, which is published in the billboards, FM channels, cable TVs, SMS through SMS, bus shelters, newspapers, ads, personal invitation, and of course mass distribution of notices, that is pamphlets in multiple venues and newspaper insert. Auto rickshaw buzzed across the cities in number carrying the poster pasted on them.
We're talking more about the loan Melas only or a specific loan?
No. Afterward, I will take one Loan Mela. Loan, that is personal.
Okay.
The advantage of Loan Mela. The Loan Mela, as you know, that Loan Mela is the one of the promotion technique of a loan that is designed to encourage the customer to purchase or to take a specific action, and to get something more information about the loans. Loan Mela usually occur for a limited period of time to help to create a sense of spot sanctioning loan. Loan Mela offer a number of advantages of people of various classes. First one is the luring new customer with a price. As we know that to attract the customer, banks offer a very low low interest rate as compared to the actual bank loans, with having a hassle-free processing, hassle-free process. So that's why more customers are attracted towards this loan mela, encourage repeat purchase. As the people, look at holdings of the loan mela and take the loan from that loan mela, they are encouraged to take to customer of that bank, entice reluctant customer. That means the loan will attract the people, not even their customer, to customers of other banks also. Providing information, the loan mela also provide aware about the loan mela, loan which loan which loan is very good for the proper person. Next, the loan offered in the loan mela. That is the loan. There are the few loans which are offered in a loan mela. First one is the personal loan, business loan, home loan, two-wheeler and car loans, loan against assets, education loan and rural loan. These are the loans which are offered in the loan mela. So I am taking the loan, personal loan here for our discussion. Personal loan are the loan which are granted for personal, that is the medical for family, that is education, vacation, or household extension or repair or purchase of air conditioner, computer, refrigerator, etc. Use as opposed to business or commercial use. The list of what you can take a personal loan out for: the car, holiday loans, wedding. You can take the loans for cars, holidays, wedding, renovations of your house, medical loans, debt consolidation, and furniture and appliances.
Why do you call them, you mentioned here, unsecured loans? So why do you actually call these loans as unsecured loans?
Yes, ma'am. Later on, I will discuss.
And in the next slides, you
Yes,
have
ma'am.
mentioned about the unsecured
Yes.
loans.
Next. There are the types of loans. First, secure loan. The secure loans are those loans which are the bank which are gives to put up assets as a security in order to borrow money from the lender. That assets is maybe cars, your house, or gold also.
So that's a secured personal loan you're talking about is where you give an asset to
Yeah,
the lender.
collateral.
You keep some collateral
Yes,
with
ma'am.
the bank.
Yes. And in unsecured, the unsecured personal loan does not require you to put your assets to the lender for security. But in secure loan, the interest rate provided by bank to this loan is low as compared to the unsecured loan, because here the risk factor is very low.
No, but normally the personal loans that we take are the unsecured loans in nature. No, if you're taking like from last slide, you have
yes,
mentioned
mostly.
reasons like health, education, wedding, or
Yes,
some
ma'am.
vacation.
Yes.
So what is the security that you would put against it?
That is depend on your income and your past financial background.
So they are normally unsecured. You do not
Hi,
normally
they are
use any
yes,
collateral
yes,
for that.
yes, they are unsecured. So overdraft loan is the extension of your account. If you want to, if you urgent need of some money, then there is a order facility for that customers. Debt consolidation is if you have 2 to 3 loans in the same bank, you merge all these loans and keep it once as a personal loan, and the interest rate charge on this is less than all the average of the that 3 loans. That is a debt consolidation, and it's treated as a personal loan. Next.
I think debt consolidation we need to again clarify. Because normally you cannot, consolidate a different category of loan. There's a home loan which is running, there's a car loan which is running.
Okay.
And if you want to repay, then probably there's no point of repaying because the interest rate there would be lesser than the personal loan.
There are the various interest rate of personal loans. The fixed personal loans, fixed interest means that the rate is fixed all over the life of your loans. As the interest rate will not change, it will make budgeting a whole lot easier. The variable personal loans are the loans can change at any time during your according to your market. As the rate can fluctuate, repayment on this type of loans will go up and down, like fluctuating.
For fixed loans, are they fixed for the entire tenure?
Yes, ma'am. Entire tenure.
Sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Normally they are fixed for 5 years and then they are renewed after every 5 years.
No, actually, I see that for your actually you have 10 year, so whole 10 year tenure, the same interest rate was availed to the customers.
Find it out again and confirm this because normally whenever you take the fixed rate in comparison to the variable, they would keep it fixed for 5 years and then they'll renew according to the economic conditions, market trends of the interest rates. Because if the interest rates have changed drastically and they keep it on the fixed rate and have given it to you, it would be a loss-making proposal for the banks also. So that means you'll have to find it out and
I will
confirm.
work more on it.
Because it is normally a 5 years tenure, which is fixed. And then they renew and then fix it again for another 5 years. But they might just change. A renewal or review might take place after 5 years.
Here is a comparison of personal loan and credit loan. According to the interest, personal loan gives a low interest rate, but the credit card gives a high interest rate. The purchase type, the largest purchase such as cars, renovations, weddings, etc. And here the small purchase like clothes or intermediary movie tickets and all. The repayment schedule debt repaid by end of the term, but here the minimum repayment each month statement. The fees, application fees are annual fees, but here rare to have application fees, but likely to have expensive annual fees. I will hand over the next further presentation to Ankit.
Thank you, Mr. Nikita. Here are the personal interest rates which provides all banks by all banks about to 10 lakhs HDFC fix interest rate between 15.5% to 19.5%, and it is if you take loan from HDFC bank above 10 lakhs, then its interest rate is about 11.49% to 12.99%.
Please give me water.
Oh, Nikita, stop.
Limited version. This is my limited version. Go there and join.
Camera is seeing me. That's why I can't be. I'm under some CCTV surveillance, so I can't be do naughty actions.
And I have to follow these, but they are not put this ratios and all, and I even didn't put up the interest rate for the application fee.
ये तो अभी 19 sorry ये those loan usually last for 2 days or more.
ये चालू रहेगा जैसे कंडक्ट करते हैं 1-2 दिन के लिए बाद में बंद हो जाते हैं निकल जाते हैं
उसकी लिमिट
2-3 दिन का रहता है उसका
लिमिट और है नहीं लास्ट
As seen, HDFC Bank provides interest loan. That's like ICICI Bank, IndusInd Bank, and Citibank. Also, there are many of the banks. When you consider these two things, then your debt consolidation be lower than existing report. Next slide. Here is one of the
go by that slide once. You'll have to give us a little more detail on debt consolidation. Once you edit this presentation, there were a few mistakes earlier also.
Yes,
So add up something more regarding debt consolidation. Okay? Because this is not giving a clear image as in what you really want to say about debt consolidation.
Okay.
Okay.
Here is one of the example of loan mela. Like as many various types of loan melas are organized. The one mela we took, which is held in Perambalur on 7 August 2017 for for education.
16.
2016.
So I will always get to that. Okay.
2016
Actually,
for
I had
education.
made this at night, na, that's why it's happening.
See, what you have done here is you have taken a detail of some other loan villa which you have not been a part of. These loan villas, you were not a part of it. No? I mean, you didn't observe that loan villa.
Yes, ma'am.
But ma'am, this is only an example
So you want to quote an example.
Yes, ma'am, example.
to understand.
It was happening in 2016 and 15.
See, why the purpose of this activity was like why loan villa? As I told you that day only. Loan villas because it will be easy for you to observe everything. You know, so if at all we are not able to go to a loan villa, we do not get one. We have to interact with the people in that industry or maybe some financial institution or a bank where the loan processes are done, so that you understand that process and mention one. Like you've chosen personal loan now, so we have to talk about personal loan entire process. How does it go? How do you initiate? How does a customer go with it? What documents are submitted? Then what is the process of verification? And then how the disbursement is carried out. and how many days does it take, all that about the loan itself. Not so much on the loan mailer, what exactly, most of the presentation that I'm looking at here is on the loan mailer. What do they do? So our purpose is not to know as in the technicalities of the loan mailer. We are to know about the technicality of the loan, the process of loan. How is it done? I think somewhere it is going off track. Pura ऐसा है, the whole thing is like that. And rest of you? But you have visited you have spoken to the bank guys, no? With the people who disburse the loans. You've tried to understand the process. What is mentioned in your presentation is about the loans. What is about the loan mailer, the whole thing. Is it about the loan mailer or the process of the loan? Of the loan. So that's what we want to know. And not more about what exactly loan mailers are about. You can give an introduction that we were part of it and this is the way it was done and then we gained this information.
And last slide. Conclusion. What did we need? Reform.
अपन एक बार बोले
We actually put in one process, but I don't know the
August 17 मार्च में कंफ्यूज हो गया महीना तो नहीं है मार्च ही तो चालू है अगस्त
मेरे इसमें बहुत मिस्टेक है देखो
starting not so much, but still starting like a small letter.
ये बहुत बड़ी मिस्टेक हो गई next slide only I have to read out conclusion and thank you
The search first.
in the next slide
previous slide
सबने कोई फोटो रखी है
अरे हमारा previous
हाँ
first slide first हाँ ये second contents
content
ये देखिए वो नीचे content
हाँ कंक्लूजन वो भी सेम यूनिवर्सिटी कैपिटल आ जाए
ऐसा कुछ इवेंट मैटर
reference
ऐसा क्या मुझे पता है नींद में किया है मैंने
कैसे किया you will find a lot of mistake in my slides as well.
एक्चुअली मैंने ये जो बनाया ना सिर्फ करना था इसलिए किया मजाक नहीं
इससे तो स्पेलिंग में चेक किया
मेरे स्लाइड्स तो पूरे हम लोग का बेसिक स्लाइड्स से बोलोगे तो इसमें टेक्निकल है ही नहीं
हमारा काम टेक्निकल काम में सिर्फ क्वेश्चन चल रहा है
पर देख के ऐसा देख लग रहा है तो हमारा बोल
मुझे डर भी लग रहा
तेरा लिखा लिखा पहले ये ना बहुत ही
है वो जानता भी नहीं उसको देखा
हाँ ओके
मुझे तो डाउट है मैम को भी सेंड करते हैं कि
नहीं किया
मैंने वो वाला नहीं किया
पर वो
जब ये
एक ही मैम को सेंड
करना
करते
है
हैं
कॉन्फिडेंशियल
गूगल पासवर्ड डाल के मेरा पासवर्ड के मैम कंसीडर करके
पार्ट
मैम
पेटेंटेड है इसके है ना पेटेंट चला जाता है
Yes, I registered market
सिंपली फॉर्मेट
But you are very much good at that. You and Nitish.
No, I
At
do both of you.
presentation,
No. I think Abhilasha,
Vilas are based in the designing
design.
she is a creative person.
creativity
which means that is no
yours points. First one is the fixed and structured interest rate. I didn't get yes, I get it right now. I did it. I searched for it right now. And the secondary is what is secured and unsecured.
अपन तीनों फोन पे थे ना
That's also a class came at the conclusion.
प्राइवेट बैंक्स
They configuration.
प्राइवेट बैंक्स
This also
क्या है
changing. I have to wait for that.
नहीं वो भी बाहर
तो वो पहले बाद में डाला बाद में डाला
I'm not such more on that.
हमने पहले नाम
I've seen that.
इसमें कुछ
It's okay. Not such a
So better, I think other presentations can be taken up so that you'll have to
yes.
make it
Of
again.
course.
You have to change the format.
So what I can edit actually.
See, one that only first couple of slides we need an explanation. What was the loan bill about and what is all that is done
That
in the loan
introduction
bill
of
after. Right? And then in the later slides, we need about the entire process observation that you had regarding, say, suppose you picked up personal loan. So how, what is the usage of personal loan? Why do people take it? What are the characteristics of this kind of loan? Then how is it initiated? How is it applied by the customer? What are the documentation required? What is the process which is followed at the bank or the institution who is giving the loan? Then how the approval comes? What are the ratings required? You'll get the, you know, whatever you have observed, that process has to be reflected on your observations here. Okay?
I will do it.
शीता कहाँ पे पेस्ट किया मेरा पेन
पहले में कॉपी पेस्ट किया
You have taken up which loan?
मैम होम लोन
Good afternoon and good afternoon. Today we have present the presentation on the topic home loan menas. We presented by me and with my partner. Next one. These are the contents. And then loan mela. Home loan mela is a commonly used term in every home, with the melas conducted periodically by event manager in the city. It has the benefited not one but three sections of the society, that is bankers, builders and prospective buyers, to pick and choose their dream homes all under the one umbrella. Means home villa is in every home, and this home villa is conducted by a event manager of the city, and it's the benefit for bankers, builders and buyers also. Then the bankers and the other financial institutions in the home loan mela are able to spot new and mostly young or first-time borrowers to whom they market their money at attractive rates and terms. Means at the home loan mela, they get the new new customer, and the customer give the new idea about the loan. And then for the buyer's point of view, what comforts them is that the project have the stamp of approval by financial institution with legal clearance and the offer formalities. Means the buyer give this home, the, those are comfortable for this the process. Then for the builders, such home loans melas come in handy since they could have a one-on-one talk with buyer and the clear all the doubts which may arise during the interaction. Means builders the clear buyer's doubt with the interaction. Further, the builder's representative could gauge easily whether the customer are serious or just doing the window shopping. Above all, at such carnivals, the builders get an opportunity to showcase their range of products along with their competitors, which would ultimately help them to learn and explore untapped areas. Next slide. Then the scheme. There are the three schemes based on this scheme, means that there are three schemes of the home loans mela. The loan provided. The further loan is subdivided under the segment the starter, mid stage, and the level growth seekers. And there are three loans are provided by bank. Um, these are the Shishus, Kishore, and Taru. Shishus, this is the started scheme, and the lending amount will rupees 15,000. And the Kishore scheme is the mid-level business organization. This amount will vary between 15,000 to 5 lakh. 50,000 to 5 lakh. And the Tarun scheme is the next level scheme. It will be those business organizations who are thinking of having better business setup. The loan provided will range from 5 lakh to 10
Schemes
lakh.
are for which category of loan? Home loan, but you're talking about the business organizations who are thinking of having a better business setup.
This is referred from all loan, but basically the home loan
You
is
will be talking about home loans, but I think what you picked up here is more about the business loans or the corporate loans or MSME maybe.
home loans.
Then the loan sanction process, credit history. In this process, the creditor sees the buyer history, means the buyer where he live from your current address, how long you have been in the military, how long your spouse has had their current job, and whether you have a good record for paying your bills on the time. Then the capacity is the your other debts and expenses could impact your ability to repay the loan. Creditors therefore evaluate your debt to income ratio, that is how much you own compared to how much you earn. The lower ratio, the lower your ratio, the more confident creditor will be in your capacity to repay the money you are borrowed. Means that it is depend upon the how much you are earn and how much you earn.
How
Is
much
the
you
earn, means it is a compare between um, own and earn. O and earn. Then the capital refers your net worth. It is the value of your asset minus your liabilities. Means in simple word, how much you own minus how much you owe. Then the collateral refers the asset of borrowers, and some lenders require for the guarantee. Means the guarantee is the sign of other person on the documents. Then the conditions, lender might consider a number of outside circumstances that may affect the borrower's financial situation and ability to repay. For example, what's happening in the local economy means the creditor check her the local economy also, and then the uh, five process: character, capacity, capital, collateral, and condition. Then the loan will be approved. Next slide. These are the eligibility criteria and documentation required for SBI. Recently, SBI offered the home loan villa. And then there are the age is the compare between salaried and self-employment. The age are between 18 to 70 years, and in the self-employment 21 year to 17 years. The income required for this loan of 1,20,000 per annum, and this 2 lakh per annum. A loan amount is offered 5 lakh to 1 crore, and this also 5 lakh to 2 crore. The tenor of this loan is
Loan offered amount for this specific income.
it depend upon
But then you mentioned the person who is earning 1,20,000 per annum is being offered a loan range of 5 lakhs to 1 crore.
So,
How would he pay?
ma'am, actually, this is a loan will has current current update of SBI. So, we put in updates.
But then maybe this is not for a specific person who is earning this. See, you all know how much
Yes.
loan can we give. We see the eligibility of the
Yes,
person
yes.
who's applying for the loan. So there's somebody who is earning 1,20,000 per annum. If he takes a big amount of loan,
Yes.
how would he repay that? So this range that you have mentioned,
Yes.
what you picked up from the table is that's a general range that we might have written as if how much can we offer in this specific loan villa.
Yes.
then the documentation is required. Application for with photograph, identity and residence proof, last 3 months salary slip. Form 16. Form 16 is the income tax form, which is issue in a one time at the end of May, 31st May. Last 6 months bank salary credit statement, processing fees check, and for self-employment, the application form with photograph, identity and residence proof, education qualification certificate and proof of business existence, business profile, last 3 year profile, profit, loss and balance sheet, last 6 month bank statement, processing fees check, and the further presentation I will be hand over to Rupesh.
Thank you, Vishaka. Now I complete the loan application. These are the process that a loan application form. First, required personal data. Personal data required the full name, home address for previous 2 years, and social security numbers for all borrowers. Employment information and the previous 2 years, including employee name, address, and phone number. This required in personal data. For income, the amount of and source of ongoing income, exclusive ordinary and child support for all borrowers. Then required assets. Asset include information all asset you will be using to qualify the loan, such as it includes checking and saving account, stocks, bonds, and retirement plan and other the real estate owned, including bank name, account time, and balance that's required. And you also be asked to provide a source down payment funds. Then debts and obligation, that's require information on all outstanding debts and financial obligation, creditor names and creditor balances for all loans and notes payable, and child supports and other liability. Real estate owned and by property address, market value and outstanding plans. Rental income, mortgage loan payment, taxes, insurance and maintenance dues are required that debt and obligation. And then credit references. Information concerning loan and debt to be have been paid plus any other references of good credit is used. Then property information, specify the property you wish to buy, you have to choose one. Next. Reason a loan may be not granted. There are some reason the loan may be not granted by bank. First is irregular employment. If the employment is not regular at that work, so personal loan not sorry, the home loan not granted. Not enough income to repay the loan. Poor credit history. So means poor credit history means the customer not pay on time, lack of credit history, uh, and too short time to be resident, and insufficient down payment. These reasons the bank not granted the home, but uh, but a customer step can be take to have a lender reconsider. First, no prior credit. If a customer have no prior credit, then apply for a credit card and start transaction with a low limit. Make a small purchasing and pay on time.
So why are they saying no prior credit? So if somebody has never used a credit card, so what would happen? If somebody has
Apply
never taken a loan, so why they are asking to take a credit card? What is the purpose of it?
This check the history of customer key, means if a customer pay on time, process history check. That's also banker decided to this customer is serious.
So you know that they give a credit rating, like CIBIL for
Yes.
example gives a credit rating. So your rating would reflect in a good way, in a good light, if you've had a good history in terms of your earlier transactions, whether you had taken some loan or you have been paying for your credit cards every month. So it all reflects how you have been in terms of your repayment structures. You have, whether you've applied to it or not. That's why they're saying if you haven't had a credit history earlier, taken a low limit credit card and start paying it. So that your CIBIL rating shows on an improved levels. And then it helps you in getting the loan.
Then second, find out if all the sources of income were considered in evaluating your application. Pay off some of the existing debt and find a reliable co-signer who is acceptable to the lender, and then offer to make a larger down payment if possible. And then no credit history to find out the factors such a payment, rent on utility, bills, and is to be considered. Find out there are errors in the information and the credit overview provided the lender. So, next. These are the advantages to take a home loan. There are lots of advantages for customer. First is a sense of accomplishment. Buying a home is one of the biggest financial investment you maybe make in your lifetime. Yes, of course, the home is a lifetime loan. Sorry, home is our lifetime considerable, and it's not just because of the sustainable value. The sum of most of seeing into our home does make a largest component or investment portfolio. Then second, capital appreciations for each one of us.
नहीं नहीं इसका मैंने देखा ना उसका लास्ट टू प्रेजेंटेशन तो उतना शॉर्ट में दिया तो भी मैम ने उसको कमेंट किया कि यू नीड टू कट शॉर्ट योर प्रेजेंटेशन मेरी मैम से
दिखा भी अपना लिंक
दिखा मेरे
पहला वाला इसके पहले
having
वाला
19 slides you know
ये वाला अरे इसके पहले वाला इसके पहले वाला देखना है
कैसा था इसका
कोई डाउट
रेड बैकग्राउंड था सॉरी रेड एंड व्हाइट थी
because I have chosen business.
हाँ
In their logo there is a red.
आवाज तेरा
ऐसे था एंड एक और ऑरेंज एंड व्हाइट से
तुमसे कौन फोन करेगा I don't take all presentation
पार्टनर बोल
पार्टनर निकित
क्या
presentation करना था
Man of the man says that we have to busy and we have to come on. big house and we have to issue that they have to utilize some lights.
बैंक जाना था ना बैंक का तो ठीक लगे
तो बैंक के ठेले तो फिर मैम बोले बैंक जाना
I think everyone is
रेडीमेड ट्रेड ये ना शायद हम ट्रेड लोन लेगा तो तुम लोगों ने बोला नहीं कि हम लोग दूसरा पता है
ये बोला इसलिए क्या मन जिनका नहीं हुआ उनका के नेक्स्ट मिलने के लिए बोला ऐसा भी बोला था हाँ
You used to have to meet.
you all have to go to man about that presentation.
You should.
अपना आज एक कंडीशन
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, dear students, whoever you are in this class, you have a test by 3:30 over here, right? So you have to be here after the session. If you don't go home, so कौन English में who is
Except Abhilasha. Except Abhilasha.
leading Abhilasha, no?
So please be there.
Shakti
in the
was.
for example start.
3:30.
One test.
So one was
That's mandated, right? What today?
Office work.
पूजा करने के बाद presentation करना
मैं वेट कर क्या
करना पूरी
किसी
presentation
अपन हमें दे सकते हैं
अरे
एक घंटे
देख के आया।
मैं अकेले जाके घूमते हो
मैं एक काम करती हूँ फटाफट आधे घंटे
ये
में
दो टेस्ट देंगे।
तो मैं हेल्प करूँगी ना बैठ के
अरे दो किसी और करना। दोनों बॉस दोनों हाथ में।
Will you take the test?
वो भी कर सकते हैं वो गाड़ी चला के फोन देखते
She is a multitasker. Yeah.
टैलेंट है बोलूँ मैंने
पर वो डेंजरस है
Yeah. It's
नहीं आया
कौन समझा है
वो मैं
Don't
मैनेज
play with your
ये लेकिन
life.
पता है
Don't
बहुत
play.
ये लाइन टर्न भी जा रही है
केला का देखिए टेस्ट का कितने मार्क्स में है
नाही त्याच्यात टाकलेच नाही मार्क्स
माझे
ब्लँक आहे ब्लँक आहे पर
मैम बात से इट्स ब्लैक
Don't say anything.
तो ब्लँक आहे
कितना बजे का टेस्ट का टेस्ट
Camera.
साढ़े 4 बजे तक भी
You have to stop. Pen drive there. Stay over here only.
उनको जानना है
मैं तो नहीं आ पाऊंगी
Why?
एक तो उस दिन भी नहीं है 31st को भी नहीं जानना ऐसे उठा लेते हैं
मैं आ जाती हूँ अभी 4 बजे तक अगर ये आ तो आ जाती थी
किडनैप कर लेते पापा को फोन लगाते 1 लाख से भेज दो कुछ
एक लाख
फिर भी 1 लाख मिल जाता
ज्यादा
नहीं तकलीफ के लिए भेज देगा
मेरे पापा को नहीं 10,000 दे देते लेके भाग जाओ
होने नहीं देगा जब backed by
security.
And it is under the security of the bank. So as a security, it was to put
it is under the possession of the bank
Another position.
it is a possession of ours.
Yeah.
I mentioned the point.
जो
Possession
जो
is
collateral security देगा ownership तेरी possession
हाँ,
होगा।
position sir. Yeah.
वो तो लोन कार लोन में
No.
कन्फ्युजन मध्ये
I have taken a loan from the bank.
पैसे लेते
I put my sales with the bank.
How many more slides are there?
And then low interest rate. Third advantage is buying a home loan is a long-term decision of over 10-year period. If the in this period, if the interest rate is go an up down cycle. Therefore, you can be sure that you will be benefit for the falling rates of some point of in the cycle. Then tax benefit, interest paid on as per the section 24B of the Income Tax Act 1961. The deduction up to 1.5 lakhs towards
Where you take 1.5 lakhs?
up to 1.5 lakhs.
It's 2 lakhs for interest. So 1.5 lakhs is for the principal amount, which is under section 80C. But under section 24B, that comes for the interest, which is up to 2 lakhs. So you have to change
Yes,
this.
Deduction up to 2 lakhs
And you
towards
can also mention regarding the principal repayment. See, your EMI has 2 components.
yes,
What are those components?
principal and interest amount.
Principal and interest. So this, what you are showing, the tax benefit is for the interest, but that both of the components can give us tax benefits.
Yes,
Principal, you should mention 1.5 lakh up to 1.5 lakhs,
and interest
up to 2 lakhs. This is under section 24B, and that is under 80C. Okay.
So towards the construction of house, property can be claimed as a computing income from the house property.
Right.
Next, this conclusion. Home loan villas gives an idea to customer, create awareness of the latest trend and apartment graded community homes and villas of the interest on capital. There are that's helpful for every individual customer who knows about the loan and find out the serious customer. It helped to banker to closely follow the interested customer who required the villas and try to click idea. It's helpful for the follow-up customer, serious customer. The step of the government of India such a cut down on the interest rate on housing finance and to provide a tax rebate on housing loan. Interest may be appreciated to putting up the housing finance market in India. Yes. Though the government of India primed the West promoter and the housing finance sector aid to country uninterrupted growth of the sector, and it's necessary to housing finance company to keep a regular search and long-term financial resource to become independent on its direction. Next. These are the references.
Done. We'll do one thing. You change your presentation
Yes.
for you and Ankit. Make little changes, and then again you have to present
Yes.
it so that we get the exact. Thank you. We have to make some changes into it so that the entire purpose of that activity is served. Otherwise, what it is doing is it's focusing more on the aspect or the conceptualization of loan villas, which is not really our focus area. Our focus area is loan villa just to gather more information regarding the loan processes. So exactly what happens in the loans and how is it taken, what categories of people do take it, what are the documentation, the processes involved, how the disbursements happen, all that stuff regarding a specific category of loan that if you have picked up. Like for example, you picked up personal loan. So for personal loan, you should give the entire process from the beginning to the last step of it, which is actually the disbursement. So and then everything about the personal. So you have to change that. And for yours, who's this? Who's this? Huh?
Security भैया.
Security bhaiya.
Shekhar and maybe security.
So on what?
And you are saying security there, that's why we are saying
Okay, so you do the changes and we'll do this again. Not for you both, Rupesh and Vishaka is fine. For Nikitesh, you'll have to do it again, and for you both, we will do it. Right? For you both, okay, na? You are in one group.
from we are in one.
And two groups are
I'll do
Mine.
Praveen and Pranati. So we'll do it. So you had your break, you had your lunch, everything. We'll also go for that. Visit is not frequent. Okay. So till that time, you can just rectify or correct all your slides, whichever you think needs to be done, and then we'll take it.
Today itself.
Then we'll do it tomorrow.
now can I give the test now?
Which one?
My BBT test now.
Actually, you were absent that day.
And also we have the admissions.
You test.
What's that test? I'm just getting those details. I'll get your TINs, passwords, and then you can start till then. I am just putting a mail to get your ID passwords, not the TIN that you would require to do that version test. How many are there for that?
Seven.
Except
Seven of
Abhilash.
you. Except Abhilasha, all of you are there. Okay, so just finish all your presentations till then. I'll get those TINs and then you can start your voice and test. Okay?
अपना बाकी है ना, we can go to the one of the bank and take out the all the loan process. And we can put
Actually, it's a caption printed.
यार हमने आगे देना था। आगे दे देना था।
नहीं है।
मेरे को अपना ठीक लगा थोड़ा प्रोग्रेस करना पड़ेगा जैसे रेशियोस वगैरह डालना है
क्या
या
ये white color.
अभी चलेगी क्या सेवा 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 मार्केट अभी सर्च ऑन गूगल they actually conduct all the car loans and all these things. You can go there or you can go to the bank.
White.
Is the bank में जाकर कुछ there is यहाँ पे नीचे दो banks हैं. You can go there and we can ask for the application form and we say that you want to file. We will take out all the
अरे नहीं तो
इस कहाँ तक पूरा स्टार्टिंग से डिस्बर्समेंट तक कब मेरे को चेक देने पड़ेंगे कब क्या करना ओके लेट्स गो so we can go to the bank and then we can go to the bank as well as that game centers.
चलो
I will just ask for mine for class then yes.
अपने को कॉलेज करना है अच्छी वाली और नेक्स्ट इमर्शन का टॉपिक को हाँ उठा पूरा मैं तो ऐसा विचार कर रहा हूँ मैम प्लीज गिव मी सम ब्रेक
I took the permission. We can, ma'am say, let's move to the bank, go to the bank and collect the amount fast. Before 3:30, we have to come here. Or let's shoot it.
yes go
Yes, we have to.
ये अभी
BBD
रहता है
detail वो full
ना
करना
ये अभी रहता
है. Collect करना है ना.
अरे पानी बंद करो पानी बंद
नड़ोती जो कार लोन करना है अगर यहाँ पे नहीं होगा तो कहीं और जा सकते हैं। हाँ, वो एक कोटक मिल जाए ना वहाँ पे बहुत सारे बैंक्स गवर्नमेंट बैंक्स वालों को ज़्यादा
अच्छे देते हैं हाँ
फिक्स रेट रहता
तो बैंक बोलते भी जाएंगे ना
चलते हैं
अभी करवाते हैं
बैग्स लेके चलते हैं बैग्स 1.5 hours यहाँ पे रहेगा बैग्स अरे
सीसीटीवी कैमरे के अंदर है ना बैंक
कुछ नहीं बताते थोड़ी है कुछ चोरी गया तो बोलते हैं नहीं हम नहीं चेक तो चला जल्दी ये अच्छी स्टडी है यहाँ पे कार्डबोर्ड यार एक्स्ट्रा पेमेंट प्लीज मेरा रिफिल फॉर द
थैंक्स
थैंक यू सो मच तो मिलेगा थैंक्स टू
वो पेन अच्छा है
इधर चलता है
हाँ
हां सर बता क्वांटिफाई देना मैंने बोला सर एक तारीख को
25 नहीं अप्रैल
25 and next time 24,999 कुछ तो है चलो 24,999 I will inform Sheetal यार
कौन सा बैंक है जियो किती दिवस
अरे यार हाँ,
दोघी है ना
अगर अपन ने वो नहीं किया तो क्या नहीं मिलेगा?
नहीं नेटवर्क की गाय
नहीं, अगर अपन ने बाद में कुछ बात किया तो
कुछ बताएं क्या अभी?
मुझे कुछ भी नहीं
थम रही
हाँ
आपको जाना था लोग मिला है
वहाँ बैठेंगे तो बैठ ही जाएंगे, शाम को कुछ पढ़ने को मिलेगा
यहाँ समझ नहीं आता नहीं कुछ नहीं
बस समझ ही जाएगा बोले बेटा है क्या वो क्रॉस कॉपी सिग्नल के पास में खड़े रहते मुझे कपड़ा
ये एक एजेंट ऑफ सेल है
वो करना पड़ेगा
एजेंडा ऑफ सेल नहीं बोल सकते यार उसको एजेंडा का मतलब क्या होता है
क्लिक ऑफ सेल एजेंडा म्हणजे तुझा मोटो काय आहे एंड काय आहे
हाँ
गोल्स
वो नहीं किसका अभी है किसका क्या मेरा नाम का है क्या
उनका चलता है ना उनका अपना ले लीजिए और शायद उनका टीम
इधर बैठा क्या
जरूरत नहीं बंद करके किसी की जरूरत नहीं देखो रिजल्ट करता हूँ पहले तुमको
जल्दी बता रहा था कितनी देर से आते हैं कितनी देर से आते हैं हम लोग कितना जाए
12 बजे आया था।
मैं भी 12 बजे पहुँच सकता हूँ उधर बैंक में गया उधर पार्किंग की जगह है पार्किंग के लिए अंदर गया तो डिपॉजिट मशीन थी वो हिसाब से गया डिपॉजिट मशीन थी लेकिन बंद टोकन लेके बैठना पड़ता था काउंटर ऐसे खाली रहते थे कुछ हो गया है पहले नंबर
ले लो सेंड कर दिया
तो उधर सब टोकन लेके बैठे थे बोला यार टोकन का अच्छा टोकन लेके बैठे ऐसा लगता है खाली है सब
कौन सी बद्रीनाथ कितनी है अभी
लेकिन इसका लेकिन इसके कमांडो टू लाइक वाली टू अच्छा है वैसे कॉन्सेप्ट अच्छा है हाँ कॉन्सेप्ट अच्छा ठीक है और कि बढ़िया पूरा लास्ट टाइम में देखी
मैंने देखा है।
लास्ट में क्या होता है दही चला काम है लड़की का फ्रीडम वो आगे देर और स्टेप्स बनती है ना बोलती वहाँ पे मैं वहाँ से लिखी है बोलते हैं कि बोल पाओगे तो मैं पकड़ के जाएगी ये वो चला जाता है रिटर्न तो वही एंडिंग है वो भी आ जाती है रिटर्न के बाद बैग होता है तो नहीं तरह से ऐसे बाबा राजी रहते हैं बलिना तो बलिना मतलब बलिना और उसके पापा को बोलते रहता वो टाइम पे वो आ जाता चढ़ते आते शायद बात कर सकते हैं
नहीं तो भाई वो भी
मेरा वाचन से बढ़िया व्यवस्था आपल्या जे टेलिव्हिजन मेरा वाचन से
मेरे दोस्त की बहन है उसके
एक 1.5 लाख रुपए सैलरी देते हैं
जुलै 28 झाला ना
सुरुवात असेल
28 झालं मला वाटतं दुसरं वर्ष लागलं वाटतं त्याच्याच सिनेमा ते फॅनफिल्ड व्यवस्थित आहे ना मुंबई तिथे फॅनफिल्डमध्ये
पोस्ट पर डिपेंड करते हैं
फॅनफिल्डमध्ये होती तिने तिथे केलं पण डिग्री
वो भी
कंप्लीट
प्राइवेट ही है ना
इनका कोलॅबोरेशन आहे ना तीन चीज़ें से मतलब एक है इंडियन एयरलाइन
शिवा भी मेरे पास शिवा भी पैसा भी कितना किस रहता है
बद्रीनाथ
आता फिर 1.5 लाख बरोबर
मैं भी देखा था ज़्यादा हो गया ना बट पेटी कितना मिलता है पायलट को वगैरह तो लाख में होती है
22 लाख रुपये कोर्स है
पायलट की
हाँ
वो तो इंजीनियरिंग में होती है
कमर्शियल काम है कोर्स है हेलीकॉप्टर सीखने में 6 लाख रुपये
अच्छा काफी सही
मैं गया था कोर्स के लिए पर पैसे बहुत बोलते तो
है
मुझे
इसका 6 लाख हो
हाँ 22
लाख
लाख
में
में
है
एक नासिक में मुंबई में गोवा में
गवर्नमेंट
गारंटी जॉब पेमेंट भी चाहिए
अगर मेरा वैसा कंप्लीट रहेगा मैं पुलिस वालों का हेलीकॉप्टर है
हेलीकॉप्टर बहुत
कोई
बहुत जॉब है
पायलट है उसकी
हेलीकॉप्टर है बहुत हेलीकॉप्टर बहुत
जहाँ पे दुकान है हेलीकॉप्टर वो अच्छे रहते हैं गाँव एरिया में वैसे रहते
जो
हैं
पोर्ट्स होते हैं जहाँ पे माल उतरता है वहाँ पे भी हेलीकॉप्टर
आर्मी वाले
आर्मी में गवर्नमेंट में प्राइवेट सेक्टर
140 का दोनों एयरफोर्स बोला था ताकि पुलिस वाले तो 3 मिलियन कंट्रोल कर सकें
पर कोणत्या रूम में नहीं है रूम में
हेलीकॉप्टर
हेलीकॉप्टर नहीं तसं नाही डायरेक्ट ती ट्रेनिंग दे हेलिकॉप्टरची पायलटची आणि डायरेक्ट लागून जातो तो. तो पायलट म्हणून ट्रेनिंग देतात तुम्ही जर गंगा म्हटलं प्राइवेट इंस्टीट्यूट जो कंडक्ट करता हो कमर्शियल पायलट का जैसे अपनी कोई बैंक में लगे हाँ जैसे अपन कर रहे हैं अपने को रेगुलर तो जॉब गारंटी होती है इंटरव्यू की गारंटी रहती है इंटरव्यू की गारंटी देती है और जॉब पेपर तो इंटरव्यू गारंटी लिखी देती है और दूसरी जॉब गारंटी नहीं है पायलट को सारा फैसिलिटी भी मतलब अच्छी रहती है सैलरी अच्छी रहती है सब वो सब है और हाँ हर चीज़ बात है और ये सब डिसाइड करना पड़ता है उनको कौन से में जाना है घर में कोई बड़ा चाहिए जो अपने से पहले पढ़ाई कर रहा हो हाँ मतलब गाइडलाइन दे और कैसे उसके लिए कम एज में ही जाना पड़ता है वैसे कम एज से जाना पड़ता है मतलब अभी बोलेंगे कि ये एज से चालू करेंगे नहीं इसकी बात कर ट्वेल्थ के बाद होता है जैसे आर्मी नेवी का काम ही नहीं है आर्मी नेवी में तो अपने जैसे आदमी जाना नहीं उसकी बात कर रहा हूँ वैसे ट्वेल्थ के बाद जा सकते ग्रेजुएशन के बाद जा सकते हैं लेकिन क्राइटेरिया थोड़ा हाई है उसका ग्रेजुएशन के बाद भी इजी क्राइटेरिया है क्योंकि सिलेक्शन प्रोसेस डिले है जिनको मार्क्स की सिलेक्शन प्रोसेस डिले हो जाती है जैसे तुमको नॉर्मल स्टूडेंट को 30 किलोमीटर भागना है तो फिर उसको कम भागना पड़ता है ग्रेजुएशन के बाद हाँ तो ग्रेजुएशन का जो होता है ना उसको सोल्जर की पोस्ट में अलग पोस्ट देती है ऑफिशियल पोस्ट ऑफिशियल में बैठता है यहाँ पे एयरफोर्स का एरिया में वहाँ पे मेरे दूसरा चीज था इसका भी पर एग्जाम तो होता है मतलब केपी ग्राम की अब ये वर्जन का भी अंदर पड़ा तो होता है उसका रिटर्न एग्जाम है हाँ उनका सब होता है भाई उनका एप्टीट्यूड सबसे हार्ड है बहुत ही अच्छा है इसका इंटरव्यू देखा था जो आर्मी का जवान था वो पाकिस्तान में चला गया था अभी आया रिटर्न सेवन भी और वो महाराष्ट्र में उसका नाम उसका जवान नाचता है क्या मुझे पता नहीं वो कहाँ का है महाराष्ट्र में बस हो गए जवाब बस बोल दिया कितने देर जान भाई बोलिए ले और बोलिए कर रहा है सर चलिए आप सर मैंने की बात करते हैं मैं क्लास में फिर बैठ सकते हैं वहाँ इधर से नए बच्चे हैं तो शायद मना हो जाता है और हम उधर से जाना समझा चलो अब ये इंग्लिश करेंगे और चलो उधर का आएगा चलो हाँ चलो ना समझा पानी नहीं है मुझे बात अलग ही है बहुत अलग है मेरा है इसके ऊपर तो नहीं बात की अभी कैसे ऐसे भी लगाते हो बात कैसे या तो लगाते हैं तीन लगा अरे मैं जैसे हेलमेट लगा रहा हूँ ये कोई काम नहीं इसकी चीज़ तो चाहते हैं बात बाहर की मेरे हेलमेट को फिटिंग नहीं होती यूज ही नहीं करते तो यहाँ पे सारा हाँ पूरे बाहर ही हो गया नहीं चाहती नहीं वो लगाते डायरी आके वो किसी चढ़ाई करता आए मत लगा मेहंदी जैसी ब्लैक मेहंदी आती है ना, वो लगा डायरेक्ट वो केमिकल वाला रहता है डायरेक्ट
कौन सी यूज कर रहा हूँ कितने साल हो गए 4-5 साल यूज किए
इतना मन सब पे करते जाओ ना, मतलब होने तक करते नहीं।
पहले सेट कर लेते हैं जिसकी बाल सबने मिल जाती है उसका टकला नहीं होता मैंने टकले देखे होंगे सुधर बाल वाले बहुत कम ही देखे होंगे नहीं इतना नहीं होगा एफर्ट हुआ उस टाइम के बाद इतना एफर्ट नहीं होता
फिर हेलमेट से होता है शायद।
हाँ इसमें क्या है बाल को क्या है परसेंट चाहिए क्या चाहिए अरे वो इसके लिए डिपेंड करता है और वो जैसे मेरा पापा का तो सिर्फ बाकी जितनी एज होगी उसकी 50 to 53 होगी लेकिन बराबर 5 ही बाल बनाते होगी
और बात कैसे हेलमेट की बात आती है, पोल्यूशन की बात आती है ना, इधर आपने
एक हो जाते थे
इसकी वजह से बाल मजबूत नहीं आ रही। तो अभी तेल कैसे लगाना है, नहाने के पहले तेल लगा देना, मतलब तुरंत नहीं, तेल लगाने के बाद नहाने के लिए जाओ। साउथ वाले वैसे ही करते हैं, सुबह उठने के बाद तेल वेल लगा के थोड़ा मतलब क्योंकि गीले में तो फिर बाल आते हैं।
सबसे बेस्ट आइडिया बताओ
मालिश हो जाए।
सबसे बेस्ट आइडिया बताओ कपूर और तेल कपूर का वो रात को लगा के मस्त हो जाओ सुबह उठो
मैंने उससे डैंड्रफ प्रॉब्लम दूर होती है।
डैंड्रफ प्रॉब्लम लेकिन कपूर लगाना अच्छा
हाँ तुम बोलोगे 4-5 दिन आए नहीं आप तो लगा कंटिन्यू आप नॉर्मली तो एक दिन 4 दिन वॉश करता हूँ
मैं तो रोज ही धोता हूँ
साबुन चीज नहीं करता
साबुन या फिर शैम्पू रोज नहीं करता, मैं रोज ही लगाता हूँ।
साबुन रोज ना
एक या 2 दिन
ये भी लगाता हूँ
मैं नहीं लगाता साबुन तुम्हें कब लगा के आज नहीं
क्वालिटी अच्छी है, रोज रोज शैम्पू
साबुन भी लगाता हूँ
रोज क्या करते हैं पानी डालते थे। मैं रोज शैम्पू या फिर रोज साबुन लगाऊंगी तो भी लगाता हूँ, कभी कभी तो शैम्पू साबुन नहीं लगाता हूँ। दो दिन के बाद करता हूँ, मतलब एक दिन के बाद
साल हो गया मैंने साबुन लगा
मैं तो पैदा हो जब फिर साबुन लगा के
पूरी ऐसे हो जाती है बात
और ये हेड एंड शोल्डर शैम्पू है वो काम है।
है इफेक्टिव लगता है
हाँ डैंड्रफ के लिए ना ज़्यादा स्पेशल
मैं तो कभी तब से रामदेव बाबा तब से नहीं कर रहा हूँ मैं पहले तो मैं बड़े बड़े करता था
पतंजलि कर रहे हैं।
अच्छा है बस इतना खास नहीं है ठीक है
क्या
तो मेरी बाबा जी की है बाबा जी बिजनेस ही है
पतंजलि से करते बनना वैसे
कितना है कि इंडिया प्रोडक्ट बहुत अच्छे हैं हाँ इंडिया का प्रोडक्ट है सारा कुछ दे रहा है तो वही है
काम करने का
चाहे कोई लगभग पार्टनरशिप में कर
हाँ वही फिर 5-10 मिला के ज़्यादा हो
मतलब
जाता
मिला के तुम्हारे से इंडिया में है ये चीज
है। और वैसे अगर वो उसका ज़्यादा बिकेगा तो ज़्यादा ब्रांड डालेगा, ज़्यादा रोजगार मिलेगा लोगों को, इधर ही मिलेगा। अभी नागपुर में भी लगाने वाला है प्लान बड़ा वाला। बार-बार बाहर करते हैं, अच्छा नहीं होता है, कोई टेंशन डाउन नहीं रहता है, बार-बार बाहर जाते हैं, इसलिए मैं तैयार नहीं कर पाता हूँ। तो मेरा ऐसा नहीं होता कि दोस्तों के साथ 3 दिन के लिए रहता है, ये जरूर बिल्कुल भी ये मेरा अपराध नहीं होता है, सब कुछ कर जाएंगे। अभी मतलब कैसे अपन शर्मा रहे हैं, तो वो भी कहा था ना कि कैसे 2 दिन कमाने वाले रहे तो मतलब स्टेबल हो जाता है कैसे सैलरी आने वाली जब ये करना है वो करना है सब हिसाब हो जाता है। वैसे नहीं होता इसमें, वैसे बैलेंस हो जाता है, एक की सैलरी अगर खर्च हो गई तो एक की थोड़ी बैलेंस हो जाता है, इसलिए वजह था नहीं कि मैं जहाँ पे बात करता हूँ गाड़ी, तो इधर उतनी बात है, उतनी राइट हैंड साइड में भी बात है, मतलब इधर गाड़ी खड़े रहते हैं थोड़ी, आज उधर तो दो थे ऑलरेडी कुछ लगाए नहीं, मतलब 4 थे टोटल, अपनी बात लगे, मतलब 4 थे मतलब मैंने क्षेत्र नाम और गुलशन सब थोड़ा मैथ्स करना पड़ेगा। एक जगह पे टिकते नहीं लगे मुझे मामा खाने वाले सिगरेट पीने वाले ऐसे लोग होते हैं, एक जगह पे ज़्यादा बैठ नहीं सकते, कभी मतलब थोड़ी देर अभी किसी बाहर गए ना मम्मी डालती है फिर खा लेंगे बाहर उनकी जरूरत पड़ती है तो लत लग जाती है। मैं तो ईमानदारी से बोलता हूँ 10वीं तक ही मैंने सीरियस पढ़ाई की, 11th 12th में से मतलब पढ़ाई ज़्यादा बाकी से नहीं किया नहीं ज़्यादा इधर उधर और एडमिशन भी ज़्यादा इसलिए एग्जाम के 2 दिन पहले फिर पढ़ती है एडमिशन और 2 दिन बाद एग्जाम है अपनी पेपर है 2 दिन पहले पढ़े ग्रेजुएशन तक मैं ईमानदारी से पढ़ाई लेकिन 10वीं तक मेरे को समझ ही नहीं आता था कि मैं मेंटली वीक था मेरे को ऐसा लगता है मैं 10th के बाद में मैंने ग्रास किया कि समझ मुझे 10th तक समझ नहीं आता था मैंने 6th स्टैंडर्ड में तो इंग्लिश भी सीख लिया सच में 6th स्टैंडर्ड था तो ऐसे पास किया मैं 5th स्टैंडर्ड से तो हमने जैसे क्योंकि पहले तो महाराष्ट्र में बालवाड़ी बस मेरा तो कॉन्वेंट में था कभी कॉन्वेंट में रहने के काम किया स्टैंडर्ड में 6वीं क्लास में इंग्लिश सीखी 6वीं क्लास में 8th स्टैंडर्ड में किया एक्चुअली लेकिन बाद में चेंज कर दिया फिर 12th में इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स ले लिया मुझे इंग्लिश नहीं आता बाद में ग्रेजुएशन तो 12th से लग गया 11th 12th से पहले तो इंग्लिश में नहीं था और ग्रेजुएशन में रेगुलर कॉलेज नहीं रहता इसकी वजह से मतलब इंग्लिश भी मतलब कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं अगर रेगुलर कॉलेज रहता था ना तो होता था तो बाकी कॉलेज में जैसे करते हैं हिंदी वगैरह और स्टेट कॉलेज क्या जबरदस्ती कलर कराते हैं यूनिवर्सिटी वाले सब वैसे कराते प्रेजेंटेशन उससे वैसे जबरदस्ती करवाते हैं थोड़ी स्किल डेवलप हो जाता है बस
Monday is very where are you?
वॉशरूम क्लास वरती पैसे द्यायला लागले पण बँक त्याच्या बिल करून बँकेने आपल्याला पैसे द्यायला लागले नाम का वैसा है क्योंकि कैंसर इंडिया की ग्रुप है टाइम्स उनका जो टॉपिक होता है साल का उसी टॉपिक से ये टॉपिक के बाद में आपने पार करते हैं तो आपको करने के लिए कुछ अलग एक्टिविटी करनी पड़ती है मतलब वीडियो के लिए या फिर कुछ ऐसा पहले तुम्हारा वो है ना तुम एलिजिबल हो सकता नहीं मतलब थोड़ा बहुत कुछ ले लो उनसे लेकिन तुम भी कुछ नहीं कर सकते ये वो है ऐसे ऐसे करियर एकेडमी वो उसका तो क्लियर कॉस्ट हाँ उसमें यूनिफॉर्म देते थे वो पूरा मतलब बैंक का आता है उसका रेंडर बना मैंने दिया है उसमें एडमिशन हो गया मतलब आपका बैंक का मैंने दिया है मुझे करना पड़ता है ग्रेजुएट लोगों को मार्क्स नहीं देते हैं गरीब है जिसको कब्जा देने पड़ते हैं और यूपी बैंक का ट्रेनिंग देती है ट्रेनिंग देती है मैंने दिया मुझे देते बात करके मैंने दिया दो इकोनॉमिक ऑफिस एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन एंड सेलिंग की कुछ दो कोर्सेज और अलग 11 तरह की कोर्सेज जैसे काम करता है वो सब है सब में करवाती है सबका होम वाला है फिजिक्स का भी है एक सिस्टम है ऐसे मतलब आगे प्रैक्टिस करनी चलो पर्सन हो तो पटना में आप कैसे करते हो इंट्रोडक्शन देना पड़ेगा देखो एग्जाम इंट्रोडक्शन देता है बाद में जो अपना ख्याल होता है वो एग्जाम देता है उसी के अंदर एग्जाम के लिए बाद में एक्सप्लेन करना पड़ेगा और उसमें तो ख्याल एबिलिटीज का दिया है वो तो आगे तो बताना ये अगर वही बताएंगे ना हमारे नहीं कर बोलेंगे आप लोग बोलो तो सर आप बोलोगे तो अगर मैंने बोल दिया तो आप बता दो सबको मतलब आना चाहिए हम लोग रेडी रहना चाहिए तो ले लेते हैं अपन क्या बोलते हैं अगर ये बोल सकते हैं ये साथ में जे पार्ट आहे ना ते पाहून नाही बोलायचे आणि जे आहे ते नीचे जाओ और थोड़े 2 कदम चलते रहो, मतलब आप चलते हो वैसे हो जाता है।
2 कदम आ गया।
हेलो सर, हेलो मैम, गुड आफ्टरनून, may I help you? May I help
We want coffee.
okay sir, which breed do you want?
We don't know much about dogs breeds.
We were hoping you could
We don't know much about dogs breeds. Can you help? Can you help?
definitely sir, please come this way. Our employee will be helping. एक काम करो, आप इधर ही रह जाओ, आप इधर आ जाओ। Good afternoon sir, how may I help you? Good afternoon sir, how may I help you?
We want a dog, but don't know which breed to choose.
So let me help you with that sir. Let me show you this dog breed. This is Rottweiler. It's a very large dog breed.
Okay.
It can go up to 61 centimeter tall. It is strong and it loves its owner and it is kind of protective towards their owner. But you need to train him well because if not trained well, this dog has some social issues there, if it is not trained well. If you have a big house, this dog will be very much suitable for you.
Okay, nice. Can you show some more breeds?
Yes, of course. This is actually sir, we don't have pug right now in our store, but we can arrange that for you in half an hour. But I can show you pug in our catalog. So sir,
Okay.
so sir, this is pug. It is a very small breed. It is good for apartment living. If you live in an apartment, this dog will be great for you.
Okay.
It does not require much of training, and it is very social. That means it is good with kids and there is no danger for them. Okay. This don't require any kind of special training. Just start with that.
So it's going to load another. No, I think I will go. No, I think we will go for what we are. No.
How can I like this dog? So those are good. Just very risky for you.
No, 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 no. How can like this dog? It is very hungry and
Ugly like
ugly.
ugly.
It is very ugly and aggressive. We have kids in our house. This dog could be dangerous.
We both. No, we can't say ugly.
We both work.
We can't say ugly.
Yeah.
इसका थोड़ी पार्ट हो जाएगा, ठीक है? Danger. We both. So we need a strong. हाँ तो इसको बोलना है ना? हाँ इसको बोलना है। हाँ इसको बोलना है।
Role play practice.
हाँ
Okay. So, till the time your role play starts, I'll say you have to do the ETIF intro. I told you about ETIF intro on subject also. Then you will see the videos and I ask you to read the chapters also. ETIF intro textbook. Yeah. I showed you that chapters also. You start reading that.
हमने बोला था अपने 2.1
2.1, 2.2.
हाँ
You
बोला
should read it so that when we do the video, you're able to understand what is he speaking on. So ETIF info is more on the economic factors which are related to somewhere or the other in terms of our banking space overall.
Okay.
So like for the first video, they'll talk more about GDP or inflation, the interest rates, the monetary policy. Monetary policy, the way we had discussed, CRR, SLR. We have discussed the cycle. So similar way, we'll have a video which will talk more about the macroeconomic factors quite in detail. So ETIF Info is a complete process. I'll tell you about the process and we'll start with the video. The anchor lecture, it's called the anchor lecture, where the expert will talk about those factors. So ETIF Info is a subject wherein the process says that first you would have to see that anchor lecture. You'll watch that anchor lecture, but prior to watching that anchor lecture, you should read the book, the specific chapter in the book, so that when he speaks something, you're able to understand and relate things. Otherwise, it would be a complete new terminology for all of you. So that's the reason I asked you to read that chapter. And now when I put that video, I start that anchor lecture, you'll watch that. It would be almost like 40-45 minutes or 50 minutes of anchor lecture. So once you have seen this, we'll take up another session of debrief. After 2 to 3 days, we'll take a debrief session wherein you again read that chapter, try to understand that, and there are also questions in terms of discussion and explore yourself. So I'll allocate you questions also. You prepare on them, and when we come back again, you can put your doubts and queries, and whatever you have been able to understand, and the answers of those questions, we'll discuss it in that session. So once that debrief session is completed, we'll allocate you a topic related to that entire module which you would see in terms of the anchor lecture. We'll give you a topic and you would have to prepare a presentation on it. I'll let you know how that presentation is made, what are the points which are required to be done. I'll give you a fair understanding of how it is to be done. So since there we make groups of students, but here it's just 4 of you, so we'll put you in one group. You can make one group and prepare the presentation.
Okay, nice.
Right? So I'll just start with this video, watch that video, and later after this you can do your role plays. AC, put that on, AC. So for the time being, just attentively watch this video and try to understand what is it saying. I have given you, Shweta has given you those ID and passwords for AT FinPro. I'll give you the ID passwords also. I'll just get them. I'll give it to you. You can also go on that site and find related things on this specific chapter and about the entire article related to the economy, this topic. It's called etfinpro.com, www.etfinpro.com. You will get the IDs and passwords, and you can at home also you can access those sites and read about different articles which are related to this topic. You'll have a lot of stuff which you can use in terms of gaining the information on that specific subject that he'll be talking on this anchor lecture. There are altogether 6 anchor lectures that you will go through during the course. So today we are starting with the first anchor lecture. So every anchor lecture, the process would go, first you will watch the video, the anchor lecture, and then after that, a couple of days after watching the video, we'll have a debrief session. Debrief is the discussion with the faculty. If you have any doubts and queries and what you have understood, the questions and answers which are the questions which are mentioned there, you need to also find out answers to it and do a discussion on it. We'll clarify on the doubts or queries if you have, and then we allocate you the topic. When you get the topic, you'll prepare a presentation for it. So after the debrief session, you will be given another 3 to 4 days. You can prepare on those presentation, and then we'll have a presentation from you all. So all of you together would have to make it. It's not that just one of you if knows better about the topic, you go and search the topic and prepare the entire presentation.
No.
So it is not to be done that way. 4 of you can put your own inputs, search from the internet or whatever observations you want to make, and then put down your points, make a structure of it. Decide as in related to this topic what kind of a structure we should have, how we should start, what are the main objectives we need to keep, what are the examples or case study we need to put, and what is the conclusion that comes out of it. So there has to be a proper presentation structure. Then basis that structure, you can get those inputs. Individually, all of you can source a lot of inputs and then sit together, discuss it, and then finalize which we need to put where. Then prepare a presentation. When you come here to present, 4 of you would have to do the presentation one by one. Like there is a presentation of 15 slides. So few slides needs to be done individually by each one of you.
Yes.
So anyone can be asked any question on that related topic, whichever has been given to you for the presentation. So all of you would have to be prepared for it. Not one person for one topic and second for another topic. So don't do that divisions among yourself. I'll give you a couple of examples how they are done, how it is made, and then you can prepare. So don't worry how it needs to be done. So I'm playing the first anchor lecture.
Hello friends, welcome to ET FinPro. My name is Pawan Patil. I have been a corporate finance and private equity professional over last decade. Today we will cover three very important aspects for a country regarding its macroeconomic situation, which is GDP, business cycles and inflation. So at the end of this anchor module 1, the key learning objectives which you will achieve will be to understand the meaning of the term GDP, which is gross domestic product, understand the changes in GDP which gets reported in various.
GDP का क्या नाम है? Domestic product. Gross domestic product. वैसे gross domestic
Loss है ना?
gross domestic product.
Business medias.
पटना ही पटना अंधेरी कोलकाता जयपुर लखनऊ चलो
You will most important.
From starting, पीछे थोड़ा सा गए. From starting. It's the first module, so maybe there are few things which are.
Hello friends, welcome to ET FinPro. My name is Pawan Patil. I have been a corporate finance and private equity professional over last decade. Today we will cover three very important aspects for a country regarding its macroeconomic situation, which is GDP, business cycles and inflation. So at the end of this anchor module 1, the key learning objectives which you will achieve will be to understand the meaning of the term GDP, which is gross domestic product, understand the changes in GDP which gets reported in various business medias. You will most importantly learn the cyclicality nature of the business and how does one interpret in which phase a particular business is. You will understand the meaning of the term inflation, various aspects of inflation and how does one adjust for this inflation so that they make the right financial decision. The methodology we want you to adopt for making best use of these anchor modules will be to familiarize yourself with the anchor module content. After that, we advise you to go through the anchor lecture and go through the anchor module content again. You will also be updated from module archives by Timespro. After that, you will have a faculty debrief session for your diet clearances. After that project by the faculty, we advise you to do your own research and make a project ready. This project should be discussed in a group. After that, your module learning will be complete. However, it's advisable for you to get updated about these projects and these aspects through business publications on a continuous basis. So now we will learn what is GDP. GDP, which is gross domestic product, is defined as market value of officially recognized goods and services produced in a particular country in a particular period. The period can be 1 year, 1 quarter or 1 month. Another important definition we need to learn is GDP per capita, which is GDP of a country divided by its total population. Now how does one calculate GDP? The formula for GDP is very simple. The total GDP for any particular country is the total value of private consumption, the gross investment, the government's expenditure plus exports minus imports. The total value of GDP thus indicates the economic activity of a particular country. Currently, India GDP value is $2.3 trillion, while for US it is 8 times larger, which is $18 trillion, and for our neighboring nation Pakistan it is $232 billion, which is only 10% of India's activity. So the GDP as we calculate by the above formula is called as GDP at current values or nominal GDP. This needs to be adjusted for the inflation. Inflation is nothing but loss of value of money over a period of time. So the nominal GDP multiplied by a ratio gives us the value of real GDP. What is this ratio? The ratio is the value of money in the base year divided by the value of money in the current year in which the GDP is calculated. What we get out of this formula is the value of real GDP, which we can use and interpret for our results. Now we will learn how to compare GDPs across various time frames. Let's assume there is a country called Antigua and its currency is called as AQ. In the GDP for 2011, let's assume that the total GDP value was AQ 700. For the year, let's assume that the private consumption is 200 AQ, the gross investment value was 250 AQ, the government spending is at 310 AQ, while exports were at 180 AQ and imports were at 170 AQ. By using the formula which we learned in the last discussion, we will calculate the 2012 GDP as 200 plus 250 plus 310 plus 180 minus 170, which is equal to 770 AQ. So this indicates that the GDP of Antigua grew by 10% from 2011 to 2012. But the key point to notice is this growth might have been caused due to inflation or deflation in the prices, which can be higher price levels or lower value of money. Now if we assume that the base year for Antigua is 2010 prices and the GDP of Antigua in 2011 is 600 AQ, which is adjusted for 2010 base prices, and the GDP for 2012 gets adjusted to a value of 640 AQ, the Antigua will register only a 6.67% growth in the GDP. This growth is called as real GDP growth, and this is calculated based on the base year calculations. This is the basic real GDP which gets mentioned when we generally refer to GDP of a country. Now we have learned how to calculate GDP and also adjust it for inflation. Let's also understand how to compare GDPs of various countries. For India, the current GDP value is 138 trillion rupees, and assuming in 2015 the currency conversion rate is 65 rupees to a dollar, India's current GDP value in dollar terms is $2.3 trillion. This number we can compare with the US GDP value, which is around $18 trillion. Another way, an interesting way to calculate and compare GDPs of various countries is to use the method called PPP. PPP stands for Purchasing Power Parity. Here the approach is to calculate value of one particular basket of goods which can be purchased by currency of a particular country and then compare these two values compared together. As an example, what is the value of one McDonald's burger in India currently? Say it's 35 rupees. The same burger, assuming that is costing $1 in US, 65 rupees is the value which it's going to charge in US for the same value of goods. This is also a very simplistic way. The actual PPP terms calculation for GDP is done based on a much larger basket, but it's a very easier way to understand and interpret PPP value of a GDP for us. Now we have understood how to calculate GDP, how to compare GDP across various economies. We need to now understand how does business media report GDP. Business media always reports GDP in real terms and in growth rate terms. This helps us to compare one economic region versus other economic region. So when growth rate of a particular economy is higher than the other, we can say that that particular country is growing faster than the other country. While comparing size of a particular economy, while we can use GDP at PPP terms, because it brings them on a purchasing power parity terms and helps us to understand which particular size of economy is larger than the other. While understanding GDP, again we should not misunderstand absolute size of a GDP for the economic development of that particular country. As an example, there could be a very large African nation which has a large geographic spread and a large population, would have a higher larger value of GDP, but its economic development will be much lower than other country as compared to Switzerland. Switzerland would have a small GDP value, but its per capita GDP could be much higher. So we should not interpret size of a GDP to be equivalent to its economic development. This is very, very important for us to know from a business perspective. By now, we have understood various aspects of GDP. As a learner, you would be able to now comprehend GDP data in a much better form. How to compare one economy versus other in terms of growth rates, how to understand the quality of growth in two countries by using per capita GDP, and also understand the GDP in PPP terms to understand the standard of living of those two particular countries. Now we have learned GDP and its various aspects. Let's learn the second most important factor, which is a business cycle. A business cycle is characterized by a phase of growth and degrowth. And what these growth and degrowth phases conclude is one complete cycle. Where it begins, that's exactly where it ends. And why should we learn business cycles? Business cycles helps us to make better decisions for our clients, advise them properly so that they make proper decisions at the right point of time. A typical business cycle always constitutes of wide fluctuations in trade volumes, production, sales growth, or actual demand of various products in the economy. Now, when we understand as a business analyst what are these fluctuations before time, that helps us to make better decisions. And these variations do not happen over shorter periods. It generally happens over longer periods. And when I say longer periods, this happens over decades. So when you see GDP growth rate of a country, or when you see job employment growth rate of a particular country, or when you say sales of a particular two-wheeler or a four-wheeler company, it happens over decades. And when we analyze these fluctuations before time and advise our clients based on these cycles, we can make better decisions for them. In the context of India, which has been growing at a rate of 4 to 5% over the last few years, now we are expected to grow much faster in next 2 to 3 years. The expected growth rate for India is 7% plus, and this is done by IMF and World Bank. How does it help us to make a better sales pitch to customer? We can advise our clients at this point of time to make these decisions rightly so, and this helps us you to engage your clients, make a strong relationship, and make a financial return for them so that you can engage your relationship value in a much better way. This is a very important aspect of business cycles. although very simple in understanding, very easy to understand, but many people do not have this common sense. We need to learn this concept, hence very importantly. And business cycles needs to be understood by using lots of common sense. That's exactly what we are trying to teach here. Now let's understand the business cycles in the context of real GDP growth rate of India over last 30 years. The diagram shows us the actual growth rate of India over last 30 years starting from 1980 till 2010. The blue line indicates the actual growth rate in terms of data, while the other line, which is called as the trend line, indicates the overall trend of this curve. You can clearly see starting from the phase of 1988 to 1994 and starting from 1994 to 1999 and further to 2008. There are three distinct phases where a particular cycle has occurred. There is a phase of growth starting from 1988 till the year 1989. Then there is a phase of degrowth coming from 1989 to 1991, and again we see a recovery and a growth back in 1994. This is exactly what constitutes a cycle. It gives two distinct phases of growth and degrowth, and it's very important to also notice that these are not predictable. The predictability of these particular curves is very difficult to come by, but there is a pattern in all this chaos, and that's exactly what constitutes a business cycle. This kind of understanding of business cycle helps us to understand and forecast a particular return or particular economic return of our activity much better, and we should use this to our advantage to make a better sales pitch. As we saw, a business cycle constitutes a phase of growth and degrowth. It's very easy to understand now that this business cycle constitutes two important aspects, which is a peak and a trough. Let's understand this over a diagram. A particular business cycle, as I said, is constituted by a peak and a trough, but there is a phase of a growth and there is a phase of degrowth. A particular phase of degrowth is called as a recession, while a phase of growth is called as a recovery. What particularly happens in this phase is very important for us to learn and interpret and help advise our clients. A particular phase of recession leads to job losses, it leads to creating lesser surplus in the market, and there is a concept of fear which comes in the mind of a retail investor. While at the same time, in a phase of recovery, the wage growth increases, there is more employment, and there is more money which can be channelized to relatively higher risk assets. This is exactly what we need to learn from these business cycles. A phase of recovery always gives us more in the hand of a retail investor. It's easier for a particular sales pitch to make more conversion, and this is also the phase where there can be a more real return made in the form of an investor. What we also need to understand is that advising these customers at the right point of time is very important, and hence understanding and interpreting these business cycles at the right point of time always helps you to build long relationships. We have understood the business cycles, and it also constituted by a peak and a trough. There are certain distinct sub-phases in these particular two phases. There is a phase of recovery, there is a phase of expansion, there is a phase of recession, and there is a phase of contraction. These sub-factors need to be understood as per the following diagram. Let's look at the diagram and understand that the two phases of growth and degrowth can be further classified into two sub-phases. The phase which is called as the growth phase are distinctly qualified by recovery and expansion phase, while the degrowth phase is covered by a contraction and a recession. Now, what is a particular contraction phase? That's exactly where you see a drop in volumes, you see a drop in production and drop in sales of a particular product in the economy. Also in the recession, it goes below the average of a particular trend line, and that's exactly the phase where it becomes acute and it becomes more and more difficult for you to make a sales conversion possible. Where do you actually see the opportunity? The opportunity comes when there is a recovery begins. The recovery begins where you can identify the quarterly or the monthly or the yearly increase in particular trade volumes. This is exactly the phase where you can say that you are at the bottom of a particular curve, and maximum gains can be made when someone invests at this point of time. A recovery phase, once it reaches above the average of a long-term average, is characterized called as the expansion phase. In this expansion, there is a lot of surpluses getting created in the economy, and this surplus helps us to make higher and higher volumes in terms of every economic activity. This phase is called as expansion. So, understanding of this business cycle helps us to understand these three or four important distinct steps, and those steps can be used to make a better and wise decisions for our investors. So let's understand how can you use these business cycles while you're making sales pitch to your particular investors or your customers. Let's assume that there is a mutual fund which is focusing on investing into real estate sector. What would that real estate companies be doing? They will be growing fast when there is a high amount of sales of housing. When they will not be able to grow, that's exactly the phase where they are not able to sell the houses in the market. Now, when you are understanding these businesses on this business cycles, there is a phase of growth and degrowth. India as a country went through a real estate expansion from the year 2003 till year 2009. That is exactly the phase when more and more real estate companies came to market. That's exactly the time when more and more sales can happen for these real estate companies. After 2009, when there was a global recession, we saw a phase of degrowth. That exactly is the way you can understand business cycles and make your sales pitch properly to your customers. In the year 2009, starting till year 2012, we saw that there was a degrowth in the market. And even in the year 2015, when there is a likely stability of the real estate market, we are still in the phases of recovery. So the phase of growth and degrowth has four distinct sub-phases. The phase of growth is called as expansion and contraction. The phases of degrowth are called as recession and recovery. These four phases, if you can time and understand better, you can advise your customers better. Now let's understand a particular market investment and the emotions around it. It is said worldwide that the behavioral economics has better success rates than probably the understanding of rational economics in the context of stock market. The behavioral emotions always tend to guide the business decisions or investment decisions of various individuals. A particular stock or a particular decision which you make regarding a stock is significantly influenced by the emotions which overpower you as a crowd. And this specific example we can understand in the following diagram. Let's apply the business cycles what we learned in the context of a particular stock movement or mutual fund NAV. I am an investor and you have sold me a particular scrip or a particular mutual fund unit. Where do I start? So let's assume that there is optimism in the market and I buy a particular new mutual fund at a price of 10 rupees, which is the face value. When I am optimistic, I invest at 10 rupees and I start getting excited when it goes to 11 rupees. There is a gradual growth phase in the market and I feel that I made the right investment. When it goes to the rupees 30, I get thrilled. I feel that I made the right investment and I also feel that you advised me properly. When it goes to a level of 15 or 16 rupees, I feel euphoric. I feel that I am so smart that I could make right decisions only with the advice of an investor. That's exactly called as the phase of euphoria and also probably the most risky point of financial investment. What happens after that? There could be a reduction in the price of NAV of this mutual fund going back to 14 rupees and I become anxious. I feel whether I made the right decision, but I still let it go and feel that let me remain invested. What happens when it goes back to 13 or 12 rupees? I feel that there is a denial and I feel that there is no reduction in the economic value of a particular scrip. It's just a correction and I'll get over it. When it comes back to a level of 11 rupees, I get in the phase of fear. This fear plays on my mind and many investors tend to sell their scrips at this particular point of time or a particular mutual fund. Just imagine the next phase when this particular stock or a mutual fund goes to a level below its investment price. I get in the phase of desperation. I feel I should sell whatever I could have, and that's exactly the point where many investors make a mistake, and that's where the role of an advisor comes into picture. They need to tell him to hold on or not to get panicked. That's the next phase when it goes back to a level of 8 rupees and you see a 20 to 30% reduction in your investment value apart from the time you are invested where your fixed deposit would have given a higher rate. There is also a phase of despondency when it goes back to 6 to 7 rupees and you clearly see a 3-year time frame loss and a 30% loss in your investment. This erosion in investment value gives you to a level of significant depression. This is technically called as the maximum financial opportunity time. People who invest in this particular phase actually get the most out of this investment. When it starts recovering back, we feel that there is hope and you tend to feel that you should continue your investment. When there is a slight reduction in the pessimism in the market and the stock retreats back to its basic value, you start feeling that there is a relief in the mind and you again start with the optimism. So what this particular business cycle explains to us is that stock movement of a particular stock or NAV of a mutual fund goes through a cycle of growth and degrowth. Understanding the phase in which it is, understanding the various aspects what impacts it, helps us to make the right decision and provide the proper advice. What is very, very important is not let the investor panic and sell in a very, very deeply beaten market and not let him buy anything, everything without quality in a euphoric phase. This is what will make you a good financial investor and build long-term relationships for your business. The next slide is about discussion points and explore yourself area. As explore yourself itself means we want you to understand these areas in further nitty-gritties. The GDP and its various aspects and business cycles need to have understood in more details, and this will help you to make a sales and a better investment pitch for your investors. The discussion points, during the debrief sessions with your faculty, you can discuss with your peers and understand various aspects of it. Let's understand what are the discussion points now. So the discussion point number 1 is what are the various retail banking habits in a high growth economy. So let's understand who is our customer and what is his mindset. There are two kinds of customers in any economy. There are conservative investors and there are investors who are willing to take higher risk. For these two classes of investors, there are mutual funds and stocks which are relatively high risk investments. As compared to that, a very risk free or a very guaranteed kind of product is fixed deposits. And also economy goes through two phases. There is a phase of high growth and there is a phase of low growth. In both these situations, what kind of investment products can you sell to these customers is a function of what is the mindset of the customer and what is the kind of options you would have in your own pocket to offer these to the customers. In a typically high growth economy, you will find that the interest rates are falling, the higher number of people are getting employed, the average wage growth and as well as the yearly increments of these people is on an uprise. What does this lead to? This leads to a higher amount of confidence in their own abilities to pay EMIs. It increases their ability to take risks and also consume discretionary products. Which are the discretionary products they can consume? They can buy high-end vehicles, they can buy high-end SUVs, they can go for travel and tourism, and these are the options what you can go and offer to these customers in a high growth economy, because there is additional surplus getting created in the hands of these consumers. These are the times when you can go and create exotic products and make the customer buy them. What happens when a particular economy goes through a recession? The same customer who was looking at the expected potential higher surplus in his hand is looking at a stagnation in his income and looking at or is more worried about how would he pay his next EMI or whether he has made the right decisions of buying high value capital assets. This is the phase when you should ideally advise a customer to look at fixed deposit kind of products. It also is a function of what kind of portfolio you are building for the customer. This is also the phase when the customer who has high amount of surplus can take certain calculated risks, and you can advise him to take certain mutual fund kind of routes to go through a portfolio approach and buy certain market risk. This market risk can be available to him at an advice which is done by mutual fund and also managed for him for a particular fee. Hence, as a salesperson, you need to understand the mindset of the customers, the phase of economy, and the pricing behavior of the customer. All these three put together will be able to make you a better salesperson.
This is the
Now we have understood the first two important aspects of macroeconomic factors, which is GDP, its various aspects, and the business cycles. Let's understand inflation. Inflation, what is understood commonly as something which erodes your wealth, erodes your value of investment over a period of time, but at the same time it needs to be understood with an example. Let's understand the following example. In the year 2011, Ravi, who is a young bachelor, has a monthly living expenses of 10,000 rupees a month. Assume that in the month of January, he gets 30,000 rupees as a one-time scholarship for highest marks in graduate exam. Now he believes that this 30,000 rupees would be good enough for him to survive at least 3 months. What he does is he keeps the 10,000 rupees for the current month with himself and makes a fixed deposit of 30,000 rupees with an ABC bank. What does the bank offer him for 365 days? It offers him an interest rate of 8% per annum, compounded quarterly. Now let's assume what happens in the year 2012. In the year 2012, the Ravi's fixed deposit has reached to the size of 32,158 rupees. This is because of the compounding effect of the interest rate at 8% per annum. The inflation rate over the last year, let's assume, is 10%. While the monthly living expenses of Ravi has now gone to 11,000 rupees, he has a very less amount of cash to manage his month. Effectively, he has cash to survive only 2.92 months, that is few days less than 3 months. So what has happened is the higher amount of inflation rate and the lower rate of return on his fixed deposit has worked against his favor, and he is likely to have a gap in his monthly cash flow. This is exactly what happens as an inflation as a concept across asset classes. So your investment depletes in value, your fixed deposit depletes in value, and the actual expenses where you need to spend cash keeps growing at a faster rate. The gap between these two needs to be understood and advised properly to your customers for their own benefit. We have understood how Ravi, by making a fixed deposit at lower rate than inflation, has actually lost value of its money. Now let's understand what is inflation. Inflation is something which erodes the value of any particular financial asset over a period of time, and it works against growing the value of that asset. Inflation is generally defined as the price increase of a particular capital asset over a period of time as compared to the interest rates in the economy. Inflation thus acts against the increase in the value of a particular capital asset. In India, we use two kinds of inflation numbers. One is called as consumer price index, the other is called as wholesale price index. Wholesale price index is used to connote the price increase from a B2B transaction perspective, while in the end consumer, the perspective is consumer price index. The number of commodities covered in wholesale price index are around 766 commodities, while for a consumer price index, there are predefined commodities in food, transport, communication, and other areas like housing and education services which we cover. Interest rates and inflation have a very important aspect of growing wealth of a particular individual. Whenever there is an exact rate of inflation and an interest rate gap, either the consumer tends to earn more than inflation or lower than the inflation. This affects his value of the total savings over a period of time. In India, what we see in business, newspapers and reports is wholesale price index. That's the annualized price change over wholesale price index commodities and the basket over a period of time, and it gets reported at a frequency of a week. Now let's understand the relationship between interest rate and inflation. Whenever interest rates are higher than inflation, a consumer tends to earn more than the inflation and his value of the investment continues to grow. When the inflation is higher than the interest rate, it generally results into a negative rate of return for the customer. Hence, when we understand the concept of inflation, we need to advise customer properly to suggest to him areas where he can earn more than the inflation. So when we consider interest rates without taking into consideration the impact of inflation, we call that as a nominal interest rates. And when we look at impact of inflation on interest rates, what we get is real interest rate. How do we calculate this? Let's take an example of Ravi. Ravi was making a fixed deposit at a rate of 7% per annum, while his inflation rate was 10%. So in effect, what happened is that he earned a negative 3% on his investment, which is calculated as 10% loss and 7% gain from fixed deposits. So effectively, he lost 3% of his investment value over a period of time. This is called as real negative rate of return on his investment over a period of time. Now let's understand how to calculate the wholesale price index with an example. Let's assume that the base year is 2000, and we'll understand the following example, how to calculate the WPI for us. So for the year 2000, let's assume that the wholesale price index is composed of five commodities: 1 kg of wheat, which costs rupees 20 a kg, 1 kg of rice, which costs 20 rupees a kg, a liter of kerosene, rupees 10 a kg, 1 kg of potato at rupees 5 a kg, and 1 liter of cooking oil at rupees 45 a kg. The cost of this imaginary basket is rupees 100. Please note that in reality this product basket consists of as many as 676 items at this point of time in India. We are taking this example merely for illustration. Now let's assume that in the year 2011, the cost of all these 5 products goes to 118 rupees. This includes an increase in price of all the 5 commodities, and hence we can calculate the annual rate of inflation for last 1 year to be 18%. Let's assume that in the next year the same basket costs 129 rupees. The rate of inflation now is not 29%. What we need to calculate is, assuming the base year, what would be the readjusted prices, which will be calculated as below. The rate of inflation, annual inflation will be calculated as rate of inflation is equal to 129 minus 118 divided by 180 multiplied by 100, which comes to 9.32%. So this is the exact amount of inflation that has caused in year 2002 over 2001 and not 29%. The rate of inflation which is reported in the business space signifies the rate of price over the last previous period. Please note, a fall in inflation rate does not mean that the prices have actually come down. It only means that the rate of price increase in the particular years has come down. This is very important for us to note. So in India, wholesale price index is calculated over 676 commodities, and these commodities are calculated based on various aspects like textiles, wood, coking coal, minerals, oil, fuel, power, electricity, and this list is upgraded or changed based on the inputs of various industries. For consumer price index, the same is spread over 3 or 4 main areas. Food assumes as high a weightage of 38%, while areas like transport and communication are 10%, and other wholesale requirements of services, which is housing, education, telecom, requires a weightage of almost 10%. What has happened in India over the last couple of years is that the consumer basket product has grown in size, and as the ability to afford is going up, the consumer price index is coming up and up. Only in the year 2005 we saw deceleration or a stagnation of price inflation. This was something which the government had to cheer about. Now let's understand how does inflation impact your investment decisions. Whenever you suggest a particular product to a customer, you need to compare the expected rate of return of that particular instrument compared to the inflation. For example, when fixed deposits are offering you 8 to 9% of return and the actual price inflation or the price rise in the market is more than that, you are likely to give a net negative rate of return to the customer. At the same time, when you compare a product which is a mutual fund or a stock likely to give a 12 to 15% return, it is going to beat your inflation by 3 to 4% of spread. So when you make your sales pitch to the customer, you need to take these points into consideration. And additional earning over inflation is going to add to his surplus, and the compounding effect of such surpluses over a long period of time is going to create actual economic wealth for the customer. So whenever you make a sales pitch, you need to understand the current state of interest rates, current state of inflation, how it is going to impact the particular commodities, and what kind of financial impact it can make on the investment decisions. In this context, inflation is something which you should always understand and interpret in your own sense and make it as an important part of your sales pitch. Now we have come to the summary slide of inflation, which covers discussion points and explore yourself. Explore yourself, as I explained before, you need to explore yourself and do your own research and identify those areas for your own knowledge and information. So in discussion point 1, let's assume that the inflation in a particular country is going to go up, and that is the trend established. Would you advise your customer to make one fixed deposit at one lump sum go, or would you like him to make fixed deposit at regular intervals? How does the interest rate and inflation equation work? So as soon as inflation goes up, bank to remain competitive in the market, they increase interest rates. So it is always advisable to tell your customers that instead of making one lump sum FD, we should make fixed deposits at regular intervals. It helps them to acquire fixed deposits at higher interest rates on the go, and effectively it increases average rate of return on their investment in fixed deposits over a period of time. This is known as the ladder approach of fixed deposits. It helps the customer beat inflation and always earn a better positive economic rate of return on his investments, and it works in a higher inflationary period. So discussion point number 2 is what happens to corporate share prices when price inflation is at its play. Various share prices also benefit because of this price rise, especially the consumer companies who are able to extract better prices for its products to the end consumer. Whenever there is an increase in the input prices, Because of the inventory, they can have a lower cost of raw material, but at the same time, they can charge higher for their end products. Hence, these companies tend to make more profits and have better growth in their earnings, and hence such stocks do better. So, better way to beat inflation in a rising inflation scenario is to buy certain consumer stocks. That's the way you can beat the inflation. Let's now look at the discussion point number 3. So, what does a price increase in a particular commodity has an impact on the share price of a particular company? So, when there is a price rise in a particular commodity, that company is able to price its goods in the market better. That means they are able to earn better margins. The consumer is also likely to pay this because he doesn't have a choice. How to beat such kind of price increase when you as an end consumer is to hedge it by buying such shares. As an example, gold was increasing from a rate of 15,000 rupees per 10 gram since 2011 to a level of 28,000 rupees 10 gram over last 5 years. So someone who had to buy gold regularly would have made a better choice to buy gold ETFs at a regular intervals in order to hedge against the price rise in gold. This is a better way to hedge against such increases, and you can advise your customers on these certain commodities like this. So let's look at the discussion point number 4 now. When food prices are increasing in India, how does it benefit the corporate sector? The corporates who are well placed to take advantage of such price rises are likely to grow faster than the market. Companies who are making the raw material, companies who are transporting such goods, and companies who are able to access the end consumer on food prices can increase prices of their end products by as high as 15 to 20%. This is evident in India over the last 5 to 6 years. The entire consumer sector has got re-rated. Companies which are in the process of retailing of consumer goods, companies who are in the process of QSRs, and companies in processed food had growth of 25% per annum over the last couple of years. This is the way you can advise and pick up certain stocks and tell your investor what should you buy and what should you sell. Discussion point number 5. How do you use this latest information about inflation, price rises, commodity cycles to the benefit of our investors? We read this regularly, we identify certain areas which are growing faster than the other, and we advise our customers to take calculated risks around it. This requires us to be updated about this information, prepare for it, and include it in our regular pitch reports to those customers. This is the way you can use this information on a regular basis.
Expansion deal.
So now we have covered 3 very important aspects of macroeconomic factors relating to India, which is GDP, its various aspects, business cycles, and inflation. Now I want you to go through anchor module content before the lecture and after the lecture multiple times. Rebrush yourself at regular intervals and update yourself on various explore yourself areas so that you increase your depth of knowledge and make better understanding of it. I suggest that reading these matters and brushing yourself on these aspects will keep you updated and always better prepared to make a pitch. I thank you for going through the video lectures and the content. I hope you would have enjoyed and would have added some value to yourself, at least would have got a direction to read and interpret the financial data and make use of it in your day-to-day life. I thank you sincerely again and request you to go through these modules again and again. Thanks for being with us.
So as what do you understand? What do you understand?
GDP कैसी बात करते हैं
GDP, business cycle, inflation. Inflation. कितने पॉइंट निकाल सकते हैं? सर GDP में क्या निकाला आपने? GDP का पार्ट है तो क्या बनना क्या बोलोगे? तो ये साइन कैलकुलेशन कैसे होता है?
हमको पहले पार्ट में बताया
GDP का फॉर्मूला क्या है? GDP होता क्या है?
ऐसे बात होता है
काम करना चाहिए।
इसके पार्ट में एग्जांपल दिया उसकी सैलरी 10,000 थी उसको स्कॉलरशिप मिलती है सैलरी
32,158 ऐसा था
थोड़ा 58 कहाँ से आया?
हाँ भाई 7%
7% फाइनेंस है
और कभी भी कोई चीज गलती डाली है ना तो कभी भी 2 साल 5 साल ऐसे मत डालो 1 साल के लिए डालो निकालो हाँ उसका जो ब्याज रहता फिर से उसको 1 साल के
मतलब 1 साल का इसको जो इंटरेस्ट है उसको उसके अंदर प्लस हो जाएगा
हाँ
और वो जो प्लस हुआ वही वापस चले जाएगा उसके अंदर
तो अमाउंट बढ़ती है इंटरेस्ट बढ़ता है फॉर्मूले 4 हो गए
इन्फ्लेशन में क्या है?
महंगाई कैसी बढ़ती है इसने 2000 का बताया 5 एक एग्जाम्पल इसमें बास्केट के अलग अलग इसमें वो बताया उसमें 100 रुपीज रहती है
100 रुपीज रहती है कि 2011
में 118 हो जाती है
डायरेक्ट तो बड़ा नॉर्मली सुपर ना डायरेक्ट
हाँ 2000 से 2002 में आया
हाँ तो इतना हो जाता है तो 129 हो जाता है
129 हो जाता है
9.32% और
कितना परसेंट हो गया कितना परसेंट बढ़ा
वही बताया 9.32 इतना बचा बढ़ गया 2 साल के अंदर
हर साल जीडीपी बढ़ता ही होगी ये बोल रहा था बद्रीनाथ की दुनिया में ऐसे बताया लड़का बोले तो ऐसे बताया और लड़की लाइबिलिटी
हाँ
ऐसे बताया
लड़की लाइबिलिटी होती है और लड़का सेक्स
लड़का आस-पास ही रहता है ना मतलब माँ बाप के पास लड़की जाती है लाइबिलिटी मतलब मैं बिल्कुल एक बात बोलता हूँ आज के ज़माने में लड़का भी लाइबिलिटी और लड़की भी लाइबिलिटी
नहीं उस टाइम बताया
मैं आज की बात कर रहा हूँ मुझे रियलिटी है
उन्हें ओल्ड वाली रियलिटी बताई थी
क्योंकि आज के ज़माने में लोग इतने सेल्फिश हो गए कि खुद के बारे में सोचते हैं अगर कल उसके पापा का ऑपरेशन करा रहे हैं उसको उसकी बेटी की स्कूल की फीस भरनी है वो बच्चे की स्कूल फीस भरेगा
ये वाला तो तैयार हो गया
इसलिए तो आज आगे वो तो नहीं ये दिखा ना मुझे नेक्स्ट सम्राट नहीं देखा नहीं है वो इसमें वैसे होता है मतलब वो अपने बच्चों के नाम पे प्रॉपर्टी अपना कुछ जो सब दे देते बाद में उनको लड़का भी नहीं रखता लड़की भी नहीं रखता उनके बुढ़ापे के लिए वो कुछ नहीं रखते कौन नेक्स्ट सम्राट नारा पटेगा मतलब उसमें वैसे होता है बुढ़ापे के लिए कुछ रखना पड़ता है बच्चों पे डिपेंड रहे तो मतलब वो ठीक से देखभाल नहीं करते इसलिए सरकार ने वो पेंशन रखी है गवर्नमेंट बुढ़ापे की जाती है अच्छी पैरेंटिंग क्या रहती है मालूम है बच्चे को समझाना कि ये मेरा घर है यहाँ सबको पढ़ाई मिलेगी खाना मिलेगा सब कुछ मिलेगा लेकिन पैसा जरूर खुद को पालना
It's done. So we'll do the debrief today. It is 29th and Wednesday. So we will do the debrief on Friday. You want to do it on Friday or Monday? Please, the debrief session is on Monday.
फ्राइडे को करते हैं
Friday, let's do it on Friday. Friday will be the debrief. You have your books on time. Debrief with the books.
नॉलेज
Well, morning carry over.
मैम को टाइम टेबल के हिसाब से ला रहे थे कोटिंग बुक्स अलाउ about
As per the time. That is, we will do it on Friday. In those chapters that you've heard of, topics that you've heard of, there are two chapters. Point 1 to 20 that you can read from it. Read those chapters. And there are questions which are mentioned over there. Behind the chapters, after you finish the chapter, there will be certain questions which are explore yourself or discuss over certain points. Those questions you need to divide among yourself and then get answers to that question. And we'll discuss it in the debrief session on Friday. So if you haven't brought your books today, go back home and refer to that chapter and divide the questions, coordinate with each other, and find answers to it on the net or whatever source of information you have. And put them down on the notebooks or discuss them. Right. And another 10-15 minutes, we'll go for the research. So we'll take a break of 10 minutes. And after that, I'll come.
वो वीडियो समझ आ गया अभी दूसरा का ग्रुप पढ़ा इसके बाद क्वेश्चन ये चलो
तुमको पता है बुक हाँ तो रिवाइज कर उसमें 2.1
लाइट भी बंद कर लाइट क्यों है What happened?